Good evening, welcome to the latest live edition of Last Bar Boxing, joined by regulars Andy and Sean. Good evening, gentlemen.
Evening, mate.
Evening.
Good evening. So there's only one place to really start today, isn't there? And that's, it's a boxing card coming at the weekend. Obviously, we've had a little bit of a lively press conference today, which no doubt we'll all tap into regarding what was said. Probably appreciate keeping away from certain parts of what was said because I don't fancy landing in court. So let's start working our way through the card then, Andy, and no doubt we'll come on to the press conference naturally. So, Andy, I'll hand it over to you and you can start taking us through the card at the weekend.
Okay, so what I think I'll do is I'll go through the order that Boxer introduced the fighters. I'm assuming that's the order that they were coming into the ring. So we start off with Scott Forrest, who is the stablemate of Liam Smith's. He's currently 3-0. This is a cruiserweight fight. And he's fighting Amin Buchetta, who's currently 7-5. Scott Forrest is a big lump. I don't know if you remember, Carl, when we were up there at the Rotunda, he was working in the ring when we first arrived.
Yeah,
big lad, and by the sounds of it, he's quite confident in himself, and he's not wanting to hang around. There's quite a few. I mean, the cruiserweight division used to be quite, I don't know, a year and a half ago was quite dry, wasn't it?
Yeah.
But now it's looking pretty stacked in the UK. There's quite a few coming through. Might be an interesting couple of years.
Nobody's been the distance with this Scott Forrest yet, have they?
No, it's really hard. It's going to be interesting to see how he goes. He's in with someone with a bit more experience that's had, I don't know, what's that, 12 fights, won 7, lost 5. So any fight like this is a test. When you start getting up to them sort of sizes, Carl, you've only got to slip up and it's good night, isn't it?
Well, he's talking about gate crashing the cruiserweight scene, isn't it?
He is, yeah.
Quickly as well. Talk. So
it's big talk when you got the likes of Richard Riakporhe sitting on the same stage. I'm going to be very interested to see where he goes. I really like that gym, Carl, up in Liverpool, the Rotunda. There's some great stuff that's come out of there. Some great history.
Well, they've got, and also Joe McNally and etc. They're doing a great job, aren't they? You know. Yeah. So,
Sure. Do you know much about Scott?
No, I don't. No, unfortunately not.
Good evening to Joe in the sidebar.
Good evening, Philip.
Good evening, Philip. I don't know if it's the first time you've been on the show, Phil, but welcome if you have. Okay, moving on, guys. Another character, Carl, that we bumped into, Matty Harris.
Yeah, I like Matty Harris.
Yeah, he was on a boxer show, not a boxer show, sorry, a Channel 5 show up in Liverpool not too long back.
Sauerland, isn't it?
Sauerland's, yeah. Wasserman show, Channel 5. We had the chance to interview him, and he's a right character. If his boxing's anything like the way he can talk, Cole, he's going places, this kid.
I like him. I'll tell you why I like him, because he concentrates on the fighting, and he's a big believer. He's got a very experienced promotional and management team behind him.
Yeah.
So he'll concentrate on the fighting, and he'll leave that. And he said it today in the press, so I'll leave them to sort the business side of it out. I'll jump in with whoever they tell me to jump in with. But he's conscious he's got a lot of learning to do. 6'8", by the way.
He's a big,
big
unit.
He's a big old unit.
Very confident as well.
Sparring with Del Boy before the Fury fight, so he's getting some good rounds in with experienced fighters. So I like him. So I think he's doing everything that he needs to do, and he understands that he's got a journey to go on. So yeah, he talks very well. He can sell himself. He looks the part. So yeah, I think this kid's going to be right up there, high echelons of the heavyweight division.
It's got a bit of a glint in his eye, Cole. He's going to be one of these that will do really well on the big promotion because he sells himself really well.
Yeah.
He's fighting Jiri Surmaj, who's got a very similar record. Matty Harris is 3-0. Simaj is 3-2. So both very early in the career. There's not a great deal you can say about the lower card fighters when they've got such a low, such a minimum amount of fights. You just gotta watch and enjoy, haven't you, and see where they progress to.
Anybody in the sidebar who are new to the show, feel free to jump on. The links above in the chat bar if you just scroll back a little bit. This show is for people to join us, but also if you don't want to join on camera, feel free to stay in the sidebar and continue commenting. Thank you. Next one under.
Yeah, we try and read out as many comments as we can as we're going along, guys. Okay, next up is Fraser Clark, who's going in against Kevin Espindola.
Good effort.
Yeah, something like that anyway. So Fraser Clark is, as everybody knows, extremely experienced amateur.
Where's all this spiteful demeanour coming from all of a sudden though? I feel like he's trying to shift his demeanour a little bit.
I don't blame him, Carl, because that nicey approach is all well and good, but sometimes people don't take you seriously when you act like that as a boxer. Maybe he feels like he's got to be a bit edgy to sell himself, to sell his fights, for certain areas to take him seriously. He bangs hard though, Fraser Clark. There's no messing about. I think you're going to find he's going to end up very shortly in some much bigger fights. It won't be long before he's fighting for British titles, mate. He can't be hanging around now. What is he, 30?
Yeah, he's with Angel Fernandez now, isn't it?
Yes.
So, he's talking about, again, I quite like the pace he's setting. He's talking, he wanted to win a British title between his 10th and 12th fight as a pro. I quite like that pace. So, I think that's definitely achievable for him. That's what he was talking about today. But like I said, I just noticed a bit of a shift in his attitude where he don't want to play the nice guy anymore. He wants to get in there and get the job done and get working his way up these rankings. So
I get the feeling as well. Good evening, Lee, by the way. I get the feeling as well that I think Lee's struggling a little bit there with his connection. I get the feeling as well, Cole, he's sick and tired of hanging around and he wants to move. He wants to move quite quickly.
Well, he was quite public, wasn't he, when he jumped him in that fight, I forget his name, and he blasted him out in one round.
2 fights ago, yeah.
He said this can't continue, didn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, so I think that's gonna happen fairly quickly. We'll try again. Good evening, Lee.
Evening, guys. You all right?
Yeah, very good, mate.
You're right, Lee.
As you jump straight on, mate, we'll come to you. Fraser Clark. How quickly would you move him?
Probably quicker than he has been moving, to be honest.
Do you think he's ready for British level now?
If he's not ready now, he's never going to be, in my opinion. A lot of sort of made of him, but I don't think the stage he's at, I don't think he can keep having these build-up fights for much longer. If he's not British level now, then when's he going to be? Do you know what I mean? To be honest, with the hype that's been made around him, if he's gone,
I'd throw him in Wardley tomorrow.
I was just about to ask you, Carl. Do you think he beats Wardley?
Yeah, I'd
you didn't give Wardley much chance against Gorman, though, did you?
To be fair, I don't rate Wardley. I've said that, but I think Fraser Clark's got a lot more of an amateur pedigree than Gorman has, and I think I'd throw him in tomorrow.
Sean, would you put him in? Would you put him in with Gorman, or would you give him a couple more European kind of fighters that are going to test his? Because what you got to think about is he's not gone any rounds yet, really. You stick him in a.
He ain't going to get any rounds, is he, at that level? where he's at the minute.
No, but this is what I'm saying though, Cole. You need to get him in with somebody that's going to give him them rounds. Someone that's not going to test him too much, but it's going to make him work for at least 7 or 8 rounds, because you can't go from doing 3 and 4 rounds to jumping in for a British title at 12 rounds, can you?
Yeah, I think with him though, considering he come from the Olympics and come with all the hype, I think he's lost a fair amount of that with Boxer. I know he's been a bit injured. I don't know if it's Boxer or him, but I think he needs to be pushed on now, as you guys have said, and I think maybe you bypass the British title with him and you look to maybe go to European level, because at the end of the day he's not getting any younger, and if he wants to become a world champion and do something incredible in professional boxing, I think he needs to be pushed sooner rather than later.
Do you know what? Too many people bypass the British title, Sean. It's a very, very important title, in my opinion, and the best-looking title in the world, by the way. I don't want to see him do that. I want to see him win the British title, win a European title. I know time's against him, but he certainly isn't ready for world level, is he? So if you push him too quickly, no, he's going to get there too soon.
Yeah, I guess so. With the Olympians, most of the time they're already at a higher standard, aren't they, than normally your professional boxers that go through the British level. So I think with him, as I said, it's going to be a level of judging where he is, and then sort of pushing him maybe a bit quicker than he would ordinarily.
So just picking a comment up in the side. So Jack says he won't be approved for a British title until you do 10 times 3 or European. Phil says, remember he's 31, not got a lot of time on his hands. And Joe says, Big Fraser needs throwing in at the deep end. He either sinks or swims. I've no interest in these type of fights. I think he does divide opinion, Fraser Clark, regarding what he should do with him.
Yeah, I don't think it's his fault. It's one of them. He probably stayed at amateur way too long, but he was playing second. Let's not forget who he was following in the amateurs. Anthony Joshua. He was never getting in front of him to get in the amateur team, and Joe Joyce. Very difficult, and when you've been waiting that long, he was bound to want to get his shot one day. He was bound to want to get his time in the light.
Of course. Yep.
So
let's not forget that the funding's really good as well for British Olympics as well. So he would have earned a few pound notes out of staying amateur as well.
Yeah. I can't blame him for staying there, mate, to be honest with you. He put his shift in and he waited his turn. But I've got to kind of agree with Phil and Joe. He needs to be pushed a bit now, and you can't. He's got to be fighting for that British title by the end of the year, in my opinion.
Well, they need to adopt the Joe Joyce model, don't they?
Yeah.
They moved him through the ranks at a decent pace.
Yeah. Okay, guys, moving swiftly on. Joseph Parker against Jack Massey. Now, this is a lot of people have been saying that this is a bit of an easy touch for Joe Parker on his first fight for Boxer. First fight on a Boxer show, I should say. What it is, though, it's Joe Massey's first fight at heavyweight, which is a bit surprising. I mean, he's 20-1. For people that don't know him very well, he's 20-1. Former IBF European Cruiserweight champion, and only lost to Richard Riakporhe in 2019. So he's no mug. And Joe Parker's not the fighter that he was a few years back. I think this is a lot closer fight than people are giving it credit for being. You're shaking your head, Lee. You think it's getting done quickly, do you?
I'm not saying it's getting done quickly, but it's not. It's a mismatch, isn't it? Let's be honest. I think the only thing Massey can do here is stock rises. He doesn't win the fight, but if he puts in a good performance and his stock goes up, fair enough. No one's expecting anything of him. But yeah, I mean, stepping up and fighting Joseph Parker, I just think it's a bit ridiculous, to be honest.
I
He's
think
not-
Ben
the thing is,
Shlom's done a great job of making us all think this is going to be even close. To be
The thing
honest
is,
with you.
the thing is though, guys, if you're in Jack Massey's shoes, do you not take the fight?
Of course, you're. It's life
100%.
changing.
100%.
If he gets,
Like I said, he can lose and still benefit from it.
Yeah, and as we know with heavyweights, upsets happen.
But he's not an heavyweight.
No, I know
He's
he's
not,
not.
yeah.
I know he's not. He's a cruiserweight. But he lands that one big shot. You just never know. It's like the jackpot for him, isn't it? You got to roll the dice. He's never likely to get this opportunity again, Carl, is he?
No, like I said, like he mentioned it today, life changing. It's his lottery ticket. I understand fully from his perspective why he's jumping in. I just think Ben Shalom may have hoodwinked a few people into thinking this is probably going to be a closer fight than it actually is. Yes, you've got Josie Parker coming off a bad loss. So I understand why Ben Shalom's talking about what has he got left in the tank, etc., to sell the fight to the public. But I genuinely think Josie Parker, it just levels above Massa. And Jack Gladman aside from saying anyone calling it a mismatch doesn't study boxing, I think that's a bit harsh, Jack, to be honest.
Jack's also put Massey could beat Parker.
He won't though, Jack.
And then just
won't.
to show there's some balance to the show, Joe says Massey's going to get steamrolled.
Yep.
So I honestly think I'm not saying Massey's going to get slaughtered. I think it's one of them type of fights where he's just not in the fight. It'll go quite long, I'd imagine. I think Parker will want to get some rounds in the bank, but I genuinely think it's going to be Parker will take him out round 7, round 8.
Sean, do you think this has shown a lack of ambition from Joseph Parker and Boxer?
No, I think it's an easy fight for him to come back to, and let's not forget Parker's one of Boxer's marquee signings, so it's understandable that he's got this level of opponent. But I agree. I think Joe Parker probably wins in about 5 rounds or so. I don't see him breaking much of a sweat in this fight, to be honest.
Let's have a prediction off you then, Carl.
I thought I just did it, didn't I? I didn't say round 7.
Oh, did you? Sorry, I didn't hear that.
Boys.
Lee?
I'll go Parker round 6.
I think it goes a bit longer. I think Massey's shown in his career he's very durable. Riakpor's is a very heavy punching cruiserweight, so yeah, he is a cruiserweight, and that size is going to make a big difference. I think it goes a bit later though. I'm going to go round. What's this? Is it a 10 rounder? Does anybody know?
I'll find out for you. It is.
So just while Lee looks at that, Philip in the sidebar says levels as always, and Parker on a downward slide, but again levels.
Yeah.
Jack thinks Massey will win in 6. Joe says it's a showcase for both on their boxer debuts. Parker round 5 KO.
And Lee said, even though he's put it in the sidebar, I'll take that bet, Jack. So Jack obviously knows Jack Massey from the small hall scene, so he'll know a bit more about him than us more than likely. Yeah, I can't see anything other than a Parker win, but I think it'll be later than the early rounds. I think it'll be if it's a 10 rounder, it's going quite late. Depends on how it is. If it's only an 8 rounder, it might even get points.
There's a question mark over the round I've just seen, so I don't know.
Yeah, I couldn't find that out either, Lee. I'll be honest.
I'd imagine 10.
Okay. Moving swiftly on to what I believe is going to be the fight of the night. Echo Estiman against Chris Congo. This fight, lads, is absolutely outstanding, and there's some real needle here. You haven't stopped talking to each other all week. This is obviously for Echo Estiman's British Commonwealth and IBF European titles, and also Chris Congo's WBC International. Firstly, I'll come to you, Lee. Firstly, do you like the fight? And secondly, how do you think it pans out?
I don't think I'd be much of a boxing fan if I didn't like this one. It's a brilliant fight. Honestly, I'm going to go... It's close. It's real close, but I'll go with Echo Estiman. Purely because I think he always finds a way to get the job done. Plus, I really backed Congo to beat Mickinson a few years ago. I thought he'd walk through him, but he didn't. And I've not been as convinced by him. But yeah, it's a 50-50, but I'd go for Estiman if put on the spot.
Sean?
Yeah, I think Chris Congo will just edge it. I think he's got more to lose, really, because I don't see where he goes if he loses to Chris Congo. He's already lost to Mickinson, and I guess although a defeat's not terminal, it's a long way back for him. So I think he just simply can't afford to lose.
There's no shame in losing to Michael Mickinson, is there?
No.
Carl?
Not unless you're a Southampton fan.
Carl, are you going with our Nottingham boy here?
I think this is a very intriguing fight, isn't it? Because you could argue that Echo Estiman's made for Congo with that come forward style that he's got. I think they're very similar in ability. I think they're about at the right level they're at now. I don't think Estiman's got any more levels in him to go up through the levels either. I'm going to have to be biased towards Nottingham. Let's not disappoint Lee, because I normally do it with Lee Wood. So, I'm going to go Estiman. I see this going to points. So, I'm going to go Estiman to win on a split. I think it's going to be a nip and tuck fight.
Good shout.
Thank you for your approval, Lee. Thank you.
I agree with Carl in most of that. I think it's a very close fight. It's all down to how Chris Congo deals with Echo's pressure. He's a slicker fighter, but can he keep Echo off enough to stop Echo doing the damage? Is the question. I think this goes to points as well. Neither of them are massive bangers at this weight. And I think Echo steals a quite a close points win.
So in the sidebar, Joe thinks Estiman's going to win by a split as well. I'm like the Pied Piper tonight with my decision, aren't I? So we all think it's going to be a close one, don't we?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep.
Right, moving on to Richard Riakporhe versus, here we go, Krzysztof Glowski. Something like that. Something along them lines.
Glowacki, isn't it? Something like that.
Oh,
I thought he was fighting
Glowacki.
Glowacki. Yeah.
Okay, I stand corrected on that one, boys. I'll give you my opinion here. I think Richard Riakporhe is the best cruiserweight in Britain. Bar none. But that 2 years he had out of the ring between 2019 and 2021 hasn't done him any favours. And he's had to rebuild a little bit. He should have been fighting for world titles within that time frame, 2019, 2021. Don't know what happened. I don't know whether he just lost interest or whether he was injured badly or what. But that 2 years out of the ring's done him no good. And by the way, Glowacki's no mug. This is a very, very tough fight. he's only lost to the very best in Usyk in 2016, Breedis beat him in 3 rounds in 2019, and Coley beat him in 6. So this is really going to show where Riakpor's at level wise. I think he gets a world title shot if he wins this. Sean, what's your feeling on where Riakpor should be next if he comes through this fight?
Yeah, I think it's certainly his toughest fight to date. As you said, the opponents only lost to the best. But I think for Riakpor, he needs to win. But I think he also needs to look good in winning as well if he wants to fight for a world title. For me, there's a question mark if he can win a world title. I'm still not convinced on him because of the level he's fought at so far. But certainly this will be his toughest test, and we'll get a good idea of how good he is, I think.
Lee, what's your feeling?
I think Ben Shalom's played an absolute blinder here because Glowacki's one of those names where you'll be like, I've heard of him, and that's because he's been in a few big fights and he's been in with Lawrence Okoli. And I think beating someone like Glowacki is going to sound better and look better on his record than it probably actually is. Don't get me wrong, it's not an easy fight. It's not an easy fight, but he should be above that level, getting to that level now anyway. So I just think it's perfect matchmaking for him because I think it sets him up perfectly to reach that level, step up a little bit. But I think he comes through. I don't think he has too many issues.
Just before I come to you, Cole, Lee, where'd you put him in amongst the current crop of cruiserweights?
To be honest, I don't overly think it's that strong a division, to be honest with you. I think Makabu has been world champion for Christ knows how long, and it seems like a lifetime ago that Bellew beat him for the same belt at Goodison Park. So he could win a world title for me. Quite confident he could do that. Like I said, I don't think it's a strong division. I think it's probably one of the weakest divisions there is in boxing.
There's a reason why they step up to heavyweight in the league. There's a reason, you know.
Yeah.
Cole, before I get your prediction on this, does he beat Okoli?
No.
You don't think so?
No. I've never thought so, to be honest. My main concern about Riakpor is that the level he's operating at. You know, he needs to step. It's a big jump to the fighters that he's been fighting to then jump in with Okoli.
There don't seem to be a big amount of bordering world level fighters.
No, and even this Glowacki who's fighting at the weekend, I've watched him in all the other fights, and he borderlines comes to survive, in my opinion.
He's a tough fighter though. He's a tough fighter though, Carl.
He does, but again, I just feel he comes to survive a little bit. So. Yeah, so when you start talking about jumping in with a live opponent like Okoli, again, I like Lawrence Okoli. I think it's a worst kept secret that that's a fight that's going to be made in the summer. You know, they brought Okoli over to the same platform. So I think he comes through. I think he stops Glowacki. I know everyone's saying he's a tough guy and all that lot, but I think he'll bust him up. I think he'll get him out there around 10. And then I'm assuming it's going to be Lawrence Okoli next.
Do you want to just pick those comments up in the
sidebar?
Yeah,
Glowacki was a world champion. I agree, Jack. Best in his recent fights, because although I'm not a matchmaker, I'm still like to think that I'm slightly educated. He does come in to survive, in my view. So that, and I'll stick to that. I just feel he's a tough fighter, but I'd argue he probably lacks a little bit of ambition at this stage of his career. He likes a payday and a pound note.
Jack's being very straight with his answers tonight. Riakpor best.
Doesn't make him right though, Andy. Doesn't make him right. No.
It's his opinion, Cole. It's his opinion.
Yeah, and I've got one as well. So Joe says, he won't. I'm assuming that's Joe. He won't win a world title with Angel Fernandez. As his trainer. Joe says, I love Riakpor, but I'm no fan of Angel Fernandez. I don't think he's progressed under him he's become passive in the ring. That said, he thinks it's an early KO.
Okay. Moving on.
It's good debate. It's what we're here for, isn't it? Let's not all hold hands and sing Kumbaya.
No, that's right. That's right.
Well, we're not doing that then, no?
No, not on this episode, Lee. Maybe that's when you come to Nottingham.
Yeah, we'll do that on the final bell. When Lee Wood raising that belt up.
When I'm eating me Pewits and drinking me pint.
Okay, moving swiftly on to well, we'll talk about the presser very shortly because it got a bit fiery. Liam Smith, Chris Eubank Jr. I'll come to you firstly. Have you enjoyed the build-up?
Yeah, I have. Yeah, it's been good. I think after the disappointment of Chris Eubank Jr. not fighting Conor Benn, I think this is probably the next best thing for like sort of British classes. And there's nothing like a good British dust-up when you have this kind of build-up with like a genuine bit of needle and you can't beat it and everyone sort of gets behind it.
Lee,
and I thought the presser today was brilliant.
Lee, is this a tougher fight for Eubank than Ben?
Yeah, without a doubt.
By a country mile.
So not everyone agrees with that, though. Talking about opinions again, not everybody agrees, do they?
He's in there as a seasoned pro.
Chris Eubank's the only person I've heard say that it's not.
No, I've heard quite a few on other forums.
Really?
No, he's in there as a seasoned pro this time, isn't he?
Do you know what, lads? People sleep on Liam Smith because he's not this outspoken.
Well, he is today.
He has been today, but you know, as a rule, he doesn't do a lot of interviews. He never does interviews when he's not got a fight week. Very rare do you see him in the news for anything. He's just a proper pro, isn't he? He gets his head down, he does the work, he goes in the ring and he does the business. But obviously this week, I think he's just got to the point where he's sick and tired of these Eubank sound bites and he's decided he wants to say a little bit himself.
I think Eubank Jr.'s got in his head.
Johnny Nelson thinks that. Johnny Nelson thinks he's got in his head under his skin because he said he's never seen that side of Liam Smith before like he did today in the presser where he went for Eubank. So he could argue that. And vice versa. Eubank got a bit. They were both at it, weren't they?
Did you see Eubank's face after he made those comments? He not only fuming, and I'm not trying to add to speculation by any means, but it looked like it hit him a bit where it hurt. Don't know why. Don't ask me why, but I've not seen that side of him before.
Interesting. That might put a different spin on how Eubank approaches the fight. Sean, we'll go to predictions in a minute. How do you see Eubank? Because there's this big question mark over whether he's stuck in between two styles now. Is he now a boxer because of Roy Jones Jr. or is he still a brawler? How do you see him approaching the fight?
I think he'll use a mix of both, to be honest, in the fight. I can see him coming out the blocks quite quickly, but I guess the question marks with Eubank, and they've always been there, is does he sort of fade towards the end of the fight, and when he starts showboating, is that a kind of bravado because he's run out of his energy? But yeah, I think he'll use a combination of both styles, and I think he'll be quite aggressive in this fight.
Carl, we've mentioned this before on the show, touching on what Sean's just said there. Eubank does like to take a bit of time off in each round. He goes for a little walkabout, don't he? He ain't going to get that chance.
All this posturing ball that he does and go for walking rounds, he ain't going to get that chance this fight. So let's hope he can throw as many punches in a real fight as he does on the bag, because he's gonna have his stamina tested in this fight. Because I believe Liam Smith will be sat on his chest. I think he's going to put it on him, and I think he's going to target the body because bottom line is Eubank's had to come down in weight, hasn't he? I know he's giving all this talk about Liam's, it was the heavier yesterday and all this lot, but Eubank Jr. is still the bigger man out of the two of them. So I strongly believe that Lee Wood's going to whip them body shots in.
Lee Wood?
Oh,
Yeah.
he can't help himself, can he? He cannot help himself.
Liam Smith. That was just a test to see if Lee was still awake. So, Liam Smith. So I believe he's going to target the body. It's a very intriguing fight. I still stick to what I said. I think Liam Smith will win on points. But very intriguing fight, and it's clearly some needle in this. That was no pantomime today, was it? In that press conference, it was no pantomime.
No.
So, you know what, Cole? They both know this could be last chance saloon to get.
Well, it is, isn't it? It's a long way back.
Yeah,
it's a long way back.
Here he is,
Mr. Gladman.
Hello.
How are you?
Not bad. Slightly sad to be home, but other than that.
As you've just joined, we'll get your opinion on this. Liam Smith, Chris Eubank Jr. How does it go?
I've said it all along. I think that Liam Smith beats Eubank because every time Eubank stepped up, he's got beat. And that's not a dig at Eubank, but it is just a fact. Stepped up to Groves, got beat. Stepped up against Billy Joe Saunders, got beat. Every time he stepped up, he would have got beat by Korobov as well. But his Korobov's hand or shoulder or whatever it was went.
Do you see what I've asked this to Sean? How do you see Eubank approaching this style-wise?
I don't know, because I think he thinks that he'll just outbox Liam Smith, and I don't think that's going to happen. I think eventually he'll go in there with the mindset, I'm going to outbox you, but eventually he's going to revert to type and have a fight, and that's not probably the best idea against Liam Smith.
It's definitely not the best idea against Liam Smith.
Yeah, I know. I was trying to be modest.
I'm of the opinion that he will fight on the back foot for the first part of the fight.
Yeah, that's basically what I think, and then
and not engage. But as the time goes on, because Liam Smith will walk him down.
Yeah,
from the first bell.
I think
as the rounds move on, Jack. Sorry, mate. As the rounds move on, and Liam doesn't give him that time that he's always wanted him in rounds to take off, and have a bit of a breather. By the mid rounds, I think he's going to have to stand and trade because he won't have anything left to be moving about around the ring, and then he'll get sloppy. And I think that's where Liam takes over the second half of the fight. I don't think Liam stops him though, because even though I think Eubank doesn't have as good an engine as people think, he does have as good a chin as people think. I don't see him getting stopped, and I think it goes to points. But I think Liam Smith wins by 3 or 4 rounds.
I think Liam will stop him, but late, so probably 10 rounds in. I think he'll get. I think eventually Eubank will just gas and be broken down because like you say, he's not going to get that 30 seconds to a minute rest that he's got.
No.
That he needs.
Sean, what's your prediction, mate?
I think Eubank wins something like 8 rounds to 4, something along those lines.
8 rounds to 4. You think do you think he outboxes Liam Smith then?
I just think that this is one fight too many for Liam Smith. I think all the hard training camps he's had, because don't forget he's had a fair few tough fights himself. I just think it's all going to catch up on him on the night, and I think Eubank's probably slightly fresher, and I think he'll come through and win.
Then again, though, you've got a vested interest in this, haven't you, Sean? You know how I get slagged off for talking about Lee Wood? Where are you from again?
Yeah, just
yeah, there is that.
Yeah, so just like Lee at the bottom dismisses anything I say about Lee Wood, I think we'll dismiss what you say about Eubank Jr. But fair enough, Lee, innit?
I get this from the northeast stuff, don't I? And I just live there.
Yeah, your time.
I mean,
has
Carl
come,
thinks
Jack.
Lee Wood's in this fight Saturday, to be fair.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair,
Is he not fighting this week? No.
Carl just thinks any world title or large fight should have Lee Wood in it. Which, if
Yeah,
they're
the
all
truth-
like Conlan fight, I'm up for that.
I didn't realise I'm not allowed to slip of the tongue on the show anymore, and I get dumped on.
Oh, I'm still bitter about you slagging me off for the Massey stuff, so I'm just gonna keep with this.
Well,
now.
I was waiting for this needle.
If you post silly comments, Jack, I can't ignore them. So
Joe, comments in the sidebar, Carl.
Joe says, I don't think Liam Smith's as good as you all say him. Every time Smith has stepped up, he gets beat. In my opinion, the fight will be close for the first few rounds, ending a late junior stoppage.
Controversial split, I think.
Phil says Smith's caliber opponent is different class. Eubank has to stop Smith to win.
I'm still confused about the whole every time Liam Smith steps up, he gets beat thing. Right. Somebody fill me in on who he's talking about there besides Canelo and Munguia, who both are ridiculous.
And getting
Ridiculous levels.
I mean, Korobov
There's the old Russian player, isn't there?
There's a different level in class between Canelo and George Groves, isn't there? And there's a different level in class between Munguia and Billy Joe Saunders as well.
I think Billy Joe would beat Munguia, but not the Billy Joe that fought Eubank wouldn't.
No.
Personally. What people forget is he didn't fight the Billy Joe that fought Canelo. He fought the Billy Joe that was still kind of having a beard,
still learning his
training
trade.
camp and things.
He fought a Billy Joe that no one had heard of at the time.
Yeah.
Still learning his trade, Billy Joe was.
You know, it
Do you
wasn't
think
Billy Joe was arguably in the top 10 of people's flipping pound for pound lists. And he still got beat by him. And Billy Joe gassed about 6-7 rounds into that fight.
See, I hear what everyone's saying about Liam Smith. And if anyone put me on the spot and said, who do you think's had the better career? Who do you think overall is the better boxer? All of these things, I'd say Liam Smith all day long.
Yeah.
I don't know why I think Chris Eubank Jr. is going to win this weekend. And it annoys me that I think it because I can't stand him. And I really want Liam Smith to win. But there's just this niggling thing in my head that tells me he's going to get the job done. I think it might be because at some point he can't go through his whole career and not have any name on his list. Surely not. So I think that's why I've kind of convinced myself that he has to win this and he will win this.
And the thing that really annoys me is if he does win it, he's going to get Triple G at a convenient time, like the majority of names on his resume, i.e. James DeGale.
He could get Triple G on a Zimmer frame and he wouldn't beat him.
I think you know what I have to disagree a little bit, Lee, because I think Triple G is completely finished. He's got nothing left. He's very, very, very slow, and that's
it would piss me off if he beat Triple G after this. It would really piss me off.
That's a close fight, Lee. That's a close fight. I'm telling you, where they are at the minute in the stage of the career, it's a close fight. That is.
We'll see. I'll get what you're saying.
Personal opinion, I don't think Triple G fights again. I know that's controversial.
I think he's like the new Manny Pacquiao, mate. He's going to keep going and going and going.
Yeah, I think he'll fight again.
Yeah, I think so.
So Kiki, they're not twins now. Just to answer that question.
I didn't see what the question was, but I was about
he was asking if you and Lee are twins.
All I'd say is, Lee must have done a few paper rounds down there where he lives, if that's the case.
We got half a medallion each. We were separated at birth.
Oh dear, quality. Right, sorry. Final predictions. I got most of them. Jack, did you give yours?
I didn't give a round, so round 10, Smith.
Carl, you've gone points. Smith,
what for the Lee Wood fight?
Yeah, for the Lee Wood.
Fuck's sake.
No, I'm going Liam Smith points.
I'm going Liam Smith points. What was yours again, Sean?
Eubank points.
Lee?
Oh,
Eubank
Sean
controversial
Sean
split.
loves it when he does this, you know. Sean loves it because he knows that the opportunity might be coming on and doing a little dance next week.
What was yours, Lee?
I'll go Eubank controversial split.
Right, wow, okay.
So Phil in the sidebar says he thinks Smith's going to win on points.
Can see that.
So
I've got a question for Lee Wood's fan club, by the way.
hold on a minute, Jack. You don't set the questions on this channel.
No, because I want to know the answer, and I don't.
Go on, then,
You've
go
had
on,
a
then,
bit
Jack. Go on. I'm
You've had
intrigued
a
now,
bit of
Jack.
sun on your back. Come on here, giving it large, Jack, because you've had a bit of sun on your back and a few cocktails I've noticed on your social media. So
Yeah.
come on then, do your worst. Let's have it.
No, has Lee Wood got a manager's license now?
As
Has he
Lee
got what?
Wood.
Got a manager's license now or something? Because he's listed as managing a fighter on the board's website.
No, I don't pretend to be mates with Lee Wood, so I don't know.
All right. Because I was genuinely thinking, like, if he manages this guy, I genuinely might book that fight just for a hell of it.
No, comment in the side by Phil, who's obviously getting settled in on the show. Wood to fight them both on the same night.
And chin them both in round 12 as well, Phil.
Joe thinks a late Eubank knockout.
Wow.
Eubank's the favourite with most of the bookies, isn't he, for this fight, which I found interesting.
Yeah, and
No,
just
I
so
He's
don't-
sponsored by a
don't-
bookie
yeah.
then, because I don't know how else he's favourite.
He's the bigger name, isn't he? That's why they've
Oh, yeah, true.
gone for that.
So just so everyone's aware as well, we will be going live after the last bell. See what I did there? Last bell of the Eubank versus Lee Wood. Sorry, Liam Smith. Card on Saturday. So we can come on and everyone pointing the finger at Sean and tell him he got it wrong.
Are we going to have Lee Wood on there just to, like, take the Mickey out of the fact that he's just had a fight that he didn't even know about?
Just a newcomer to the show, Carl. Last comment before we move on.
Yeah, it'd be nice if you read a few out now and again. So
I'm blind tonight, mate. I can't. I'm not seeing the screen very well.
good evening, Paul. Eubank Jr. is bigger, stronger, faster, and fresher. He's got the style advantage too. Eubank Jr. stops Smith inside of 9.
It's nice that Eubank Jr.'s got an alternative.
And also,
account.
sorry, Jack, Paul must be a bit of a Eubank Jr. fan because he goes on to say Eubank Jr. will batter Golovkin before the year ends. So whatever he's got in his hand, put it down for, because I think you may have had too many.
It's funny though, isn't it? It's funny though, isn't
Eubank
it? How
Jr.'s
he's,
alt account.
it's funny though, isn't it? How he's jumping all over the opportunity to fight Golovkin now. Now Golovkin's past it, but he didn't want it, did he? When the contract was put in front of him, and little old Kell Brook had to come up 2 weights to fight Golovkin to save the day. He didn't want it then, did he? He had the contract in front of him and he didn't sign it.
I think
does that
he's
tell
more
you
likely
about
to
him?
fight. I think he's more likely to fight Kell Brook if he. I don't think he'll fight Golovkin. I think he'll more likely fight Kell Brook if he wins this.
He's already turned that Kell Brook fight down once.
Yeah,
Kell
but
Brook
he's,
offered to stay
again,
middleweight and fight him, and he wouldn't do it.
have you not noticed this with Chris Eubank Jr. now, though? He seems to have, I know he's on about he's stepping up to the world title level. I mean, how long's he been doing that for? But now he seems to be going for names that are, and I'm not saying Liam Smith's past it, he's not, but he is getting on. He is into the latter stages of his career. And then he wants to fight Kell Brook, who's already retired. He wants to fight Conor Benn, who's 2 weights below him. He's just going for names who he thinks he can beat.
Lee,
He wants his resume to look better. Go on.
I've said for many years, Lee, it's not about legacy with Chris Eubank Jr. It's about money. He's not interested in winning world titles. It's about money. It's about the biggest paydays he can get.
I think it's a bit of both, because I think you say about legacy, but in 20 years' time, when you look back and you look on his record, it'll have these names, but it won't say that they were past it when he fought them, but it will still have
but
them on
legacy is
there,
about
won't
winning things. Legacy is about fighting the best.
it? Yeah, I appreciate
He's had
that.
opportunities to fight Golovkin and Triple G. Sorry, Golovkin and Canelo, and get both of those opportunities up.
Do you think a little bit of that though is now that he's got Roy Jones Jr. in his corner and he's not taking as much advice from his old man? Do you think maybe now he has got that urge to maybe go after these fights? I don't know.
See, the thing I find, Lee, is when you look back at legacy, you look back to see if they fought the best in their era, don't you? And Eubank Jr. is nowhere near him, is it?
No.
So, Jack, I think we're getting a bit of feedback off you, whatever, you know. I think we're getting a bit of feedback from your phone, Jack.
Yeah. Hang on.
No worries.
Guys, there's just one thing I wanted to touch on. There was a tweet put out by Eddie Earn. I think it was a tweet put out by Eddie Earn that basically states that they're looking for opponents for Conor Benn, and he's going to be out in spring. Question from me: how can you be putting statements out like that when the guy's not cleared his name?
Because they believe he is about to clear his name.
About to, though, Lee. How can you start calling people out? He's calling out the likes of Crawford, for God's sake.
Yeah, but he's his promoter. That's his job, isn't it? That's what he's paid to do. He's there
not
to
when the
promote
guy's not when the guy's banned. Not when the guy's not got a British
He's
boxing
not
board of
banned.
control
He's
license.
not banned.
No,
he's not banned, though, is he?
No, that's why
He's
I
not
stopped saying it
banned.
after you saying banned. I didn't say it, did I?
There's a cloud above his head, though, Lee.
He hasn't got a license, though, has he? He hasn't got a license, though, Lee, has he?
No, but
He can fight.
He can fight in a different country.
If he's going to
fight in this
Crawford,
country.
it would be in America.
Not under a British boxing board of control, he can't.
Yeah, but Jack, nobody knows him in America. So why, what does he think? What
But nobody knows him in America comment isn't true, really.
They know his dad.
Nobody knows him in America. Come on.
No, to be fair, everyone knows the last name in America because Nigel was a bigger name in America than half the Americans at the era. So people will know the last name and will watch it out of curiosity.
Are you telling me he's a big draw in America?
Sorry?
Are you trying to tell me that he's a big draw?
He doesn't need to be if he fights one of them, does he?
He's not a big draw.
Look, I just don't believe anyone will touch him with this cloud hanging above his head. He needs to clear this up in the UK. If he believes he's innocent.
I'm not saying
a lot of people would touch him with it.
Good fight in the States.
Say again.
Do you not think his profile's risen because of it?
In the wrong way, for the wrong reason, though, Lee. Because it's
not if he clears his name.
When he looks back on his career, there's gonna be this part of his career where there's a black mark, for want of a better phrase.
Let me just put some balance to this before we go any further. I don't want people thinking that we're here bashing Conor Benn. We're not. Me and Carl have purposely held back on shooting down Conor Benn in this whole situation. We haven't gone in on him on this channel because we wanted to give him the opportunity to clear his name. The fact of the matter is, he's putting statements out saying that science wins the day and it's proven right, or something along them lines. Eddie Earn comes out with this statement saying they're looking for fights for him. It's bad, mate. It's bad that they're even contemplating saying this stuff when the guy's got 2 positive drug tests hanging over his head. Clear your name first, get the evidence out there, and then put statements out saying you're going to do this and the other.
So if he is about to be cleared and he has got the evidence and he has been falsely accused, all of this, that, and the other,
then he deserves an apology.
Yeah, and why shouldn't he still promote himself?
Because he hasn't put it out there. If he's cleared his name, Lee,
he's not allowed to.
Hold on a minute. If he's cleared his name and he's got the evidence, why has he not put it out there? Why have he not put it out there?
I can tell you exactly why he's not put it out there, because this is an experience from when I was an athlete. Once an outcome of the case happens, you have 60 days where you're not allowed to disclose anything. There's no way he could put anything out there for 60 days.
But Jack, he has disclosed it because he said science wins the day.
Yeah,
he's not displayed the evidence, has he?
So wouldn't you advise him just to keep stum then until he's allowed to at least disclose the full picture?
Exactly my point. Lee, I'm as much as anybody else. I want Conor Benn to clear his name. I don't want this this situation. It's just it's terrible for British boxing. It's terrible for Conor Benn. It's terrible for his gym. It's just not a good look. I don't want to see him fight Chris Eubank Jr. I never did.
I'm just going to pick a couple of comments up in the side. So, Thor says, wouldn't it be smart to stage Ben's return on AJ's big return? He can get a Luxembourg license and still fight in the UK.
No.
Thor said Billy Joe and Fury failed drug tests, but the British public moved on. Joe says they should just release a 270-page dossier out in the public domain and let us make our minds up.
Yep.
Which they will when they're allowed to.
and then finally, everyone can move on then. Happy days.
If I'm an innocent man and I've been falsely accused and I've got to wait to release this, why am I not going to promote myself? He's lost enough of his career. He's lost a big payday. If he's genuinely innocent, he's entitled to do what he likes, in my opinion.
I just think it leaves a little bit of a bad taste in my mouth. Listen, if the lad's innocent, then he deserves all the apologies and all the public apologies and God knows what else he deserves.
Yeah.
If he's guilty, he's making himself look a fool, isn't he? Let's be honest.
I think there's a process to this, and I'm a big believer that he shouldn't really be talking about who he wants to fight next and this, that, and the other. He's got a bigger battle to fight.
Maybe he's already fought it.
Well, we don't know. But it's... Well, then come out and say as much as you're allowed to say legally then. Because it doesn't stack up.
Maybe that's what he's done.
It doesn't stack up, does it?
I don't see how it doesn't. I don't see how it doesn't. He said he's gone.
But he's talking about never fighting under British Boxing Board control again.
Yeah, because of how they've treated him, I guess. I don't know.
To be fair, they've only done what their jobs to do, haven't they?
Well, you say that. They knew. You say that. They knew about the result, and they knew about the first result, and they waited till fight week when conveniently they announced that the fight was off after it had been leaked to the press. So were they going to let that fight happen?
Well, Eddie Hearn knew about it. Eddie Hearn knew about that even earlier.
Yeah, and Eddie Hearn legally could not call that fight off because he was in contract. The only people that could call.
I'm not an expert on.
It's true.
I'm not an expert on the legality of it, or I'd be a lawyer. But all I'm saying is, from a British boxing public, he'd been advised really poorly. And if he doesn't categorically clear this mess up, let's hope he does, it will leave a stain on his career. That's my view.
100%. I agree with that. If he don't clear it up, it will leave a stain on his career, ruins his career. And if after all of what he has been saying, it still comes out that it's inconclusive and he can't prove it, he looks a fool, doesn't he?
He could have gave us more than he gave us, though, Lee, couldn't he? He could have gave us more than he's given us. He could indicate without getting himself
into
trouble.
I don't know. Maybe not. I think he's been telling you he's innocent. I think if not, he would have been kept quiet. Because in one hand, you're saying he could. In one hand, you're saying he could have given us more, and then in the other hand, you're saying he shouldn't have told us anything. So which is it?
Sean, what's your opinion on this?
When did I say he shouldn't give us anything?
Oh, sorry, Andy was saying he should be keeping quiet.
I did, yeah, because that's what I believe. Sean, what's your opinion on all of this that's just come out recently?
Yeah, I don't think he's necessarily helping himself with all the cryptic messages he's been putting out. But I guess from his point of view, if he says nothing, that makes him look guilty as well. So I can see why he says some stuff. But let's not forget, the board haven't reprimanded him for the drugs. This is all the WBC. So as I understand it, it's nothing to do with the drug tests, why he was giving up his license. That's an issue to do with something else. In terms of him wanting to fight, I can understand why. But obviously, he's got to clear his name first. But yeah, for me, it's just all these cryptic messages he's been putting out, which isn't helping him. I think he either needs to either wait for the hearing to take place and then for whatever comes out of that, or just keep his cards close to his chest for now.
So I just want to pick a comment up in the sidebar from Thor. Cole, like I said, I'm struggling to read these tonight, Cole. Do you mind reading out what Thor's just put?
So he's put a couple. He's put most guys in boxing in UFC are probably on something, allegedly. It's one of them. Let's just move on. Thor says, why do fans care? Most top guys in UFC and boxing are on something. Again, allegedly.
I tell you why I care. I tell you why I care, Thor. Because this is a sport that kills people. This is a sport that's
It's not
brutal.
Tiddlywinks.
No, this is a sport that's brutal, Thor, and it's dangerous enough as it is without people taking performance-enhancing drugs that allows them to punch harder, that allows them to have more
Train
stamina,
harder.
that allows them to last longer. It's very, very, very dangerous. And anyone that takes performance-enhancing drugs in boxing not only should they be banned for life, they should be locked up. End of conversation, in my opinion. That's
Put
why
it this way:
we're having this
do you think
conversation.
Tony Sims? Do you think Tony Sims would have him back in his gym training
No.
today?
No.
Which he was in his gym training today because he's posted videos of it. So do you really think Tony Sims would have him back if he had proven his innocence?
No, don't.
Okay.
Mate, I believe Tony Sims and everyone else in that team and everyone else in that gym all believe Conor Benn is innocent. Conor Benn believes he's innocent. I just want the evidence to come out to prove that he is. I'm not saying he's guilty of anything, Lee. I don't want him to be.
No.
I'm a fan of Conor Benn. I've been really impressed with his improvement over the last couple of years. I want to see him in big fights, but I don't want to see him in big fights under a different license without this being cleared up. I don't want to see that because I won't watch it. Until it's cleared, I will not watch anything.
And he'll never get the credit for his boxing ability because people will always have that in the back of their mind. What if? What if?
They're going to say that regardless, aren't they?
Not if he clears his name, I'd argue. If it's got this science behind it that he says he's got, where he proves his... I mean, I hope he's innocent. I hope he clears this all up. Because the bottom line is, he's a young British talented fighter who's had his career stalled. So, let's see. It'll play out, but I just don't like all this cryptic stuff. Like Sean says, where I can't make head and tail of it. I don't really know what he's trying to tell us.
I think he's just frustrated, but yeah, it's not a good situation.
He's frustrated, and that's why he's handed back his British boxing license, isn't it? Because he thinks he's been really badly treated, and if he's innocent, then he has. But while you've got 2 samples that give a positive test, Lee, what are the British Boxing Board supposed to do?
I don't have any sympathy for the British Board of Control because of the way they handled it. If they'd have banned him or told him he wasn't fight, but they knew of that his first one before they even sanctioned this fight. That's disgraceful. That is disgraceful. And the fact that it took it getting leaked to the papers for them to then call the fight off, they should be held accountable for that. So as far as they go, couldn't care less about what they think.
I don't think anyone covered himself in glory, Lee, did they? Because then when there's talk of him possibly using another boxing governing body, blah, 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 I don't think anybody covered himself in glory, did they?
No. And to be honest, with the results that they found, Chris Eubank Jr. was still prepared to fight him. I don't know. Yeah, I think that tells you all you need to know, but we'll see. It's all going to come out in the wash.
Joe said, Ben hasn't been badly treated. It's called due process.
Yeah, you could argue that.
Yeah.
The Thor thinks it's okay if people are on drugs because it's just entertainment.
No.
So Thor says, Andy, why are you letting this issue take away from your entertainment? Ben is still an exciting fighter to watch.
Thor, I've already told you, mate. I don't want to watch people die in a ring.
And nobody, we want a level playing field, don't we? That's what we want.
I don't want to watch people die in a ring, Thor. And when people are on performance-enhancing drugs, they're taking an advantage over another fighter that's not a fair advantage. Like I've already explained, they punch harder. They train longer. They're fitter. It's dangerous, Thor. It's not entertainment at that point. I've watched too many fights in the past where people have either ended up really, really badly hurt.
No,
It's
no,
very
no,
open.
I reckon we would
drugs
be
involved in
surprised
them
how many
fights, so
people
I
are
can
on
just
it though.
clarify, there's no suggestion of any drugs involved anywhere.
No. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that, Carl. But what I'm saying
just
is,
clarifying. That's all.
I've seen fights in the past and fights in the past where the fights have ended in tragedy. And these fighters have barely been able to speak or walk again.
I think we'd be surprised with masking agents and stuff like that. I think we'd be horrified to know the true extent of the problem in this sport.
But you've got to try and believe in the testing process. If it's found out that the testing process is not adequate, then they need to make it adequate.
It's not adequate because I know we're talking about Conor Bennett, but he's our example at the moment. But it didn't pick up in the one that I can't remember the testing that British Border Control do or who they use. Didn't get picked up in that, but it got picked up in the voluntary. Got picked up in the voluntary VADA testing. That just shows you it's flawed.
It shows you that either it's flawed or that the UCAD test didn't test for this particular drug.
Or there was a problem with the VADA one. That's the only other.
A problem with the VADA one.
Yeah, it's probably a bit criminal, isn't it? That we're going into a massive card at the weekend and we're talking about drugs in the sport, to be honest with you.
It's just, unfortunately, Carl, it's just the way the conversation's gone.
Yeah, it's a shame though, isn't it?
It is a shame, but it's a serious topic.
We kind of shoehorned into it, didn't we?
Yeah, it was Andy's poor question that took us down this road, to be honest with you, about Conor Benn.
Well, go on then, Carl. You answer another one and we'll finish the show on something a bit brighter, shall we?
Yeah, just to finish this topic off that Andy put us into, Mike Tyson says 99% of top guys are on beds and testing is I'm assuming it should be garbage, not garage, garbage. So that comes back to the point regarding his testing where it needs to be honest. So obviously, as Lee's at the bottom, I ain't really got anything to talk about if it's not about Lee Wood. So I don't want to bring that up again. So I'll be honest, I'm about done for this week's session.
There's a lot of new footage on the channel, guys. For people in the sidebar that may be joining us for the first time, or you've been on a couple of times but you haven't subscribed to the channel, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell, and you'll get everything new that drops on. We're doing some, and we've been to some, and we're going to some over the weekend, some gyms to get some footage from fighters in camp, doing interviews. So there's a lot dropping on the channel. Has been recently and is more to come. So please, if you can subscribe, that'd be great. Anybody in the sidebar get anything?
Lee, that's outrageous, Lee. That's a shame. I thought I'm the only one to do shameless plugs. Go on then, Lee. Give us a breakdown of your space at 8:30.
Yeah, I was hoping this week you might actually return the favour, Carl, because you were nowhere to be seen last week. You were too busy with the influencers.
Yeah, I think you know why that was.
Rubbing shoulders with KSI and Salt Pappy.
I like to create opportunities for my children, Lee, and also it earned me a £500 bottle, which is signed. So
you're a legend for that, by the way. I've got no qualms with that.
I'll let you eat your words. Carry on.
Go for it.
I've got space on Twitter at 8:30 under No Smoke Boxing. If any of you want to carry on the chat, we're going to be doing similar thing, going through the Liam Smith, Chris Eubank card, and having a bit of a debate. So if anyone can jump on Twitter in about 20 minutes, we'll be on there.
Magic stuff.
Okay, so remember we're going to go live after the last spell of the Liam Smith Eubank Jnr. card on Saturday. So anyone that wants to jump on and give the views and tell Sean how wrong he was, you're welcome to do so. And that's it for us. Over and out. Last Bell Boxing live again next Thursday at 7 p.m. Probably talk about Lee Wood a little bit more, to be honest with you, but that's part of the course. So we'll see you all next time. Thank you.
Cheers, guys.